You ever notice how some days you feel like you're running on premium fuel and other days you feel like someone swapped it for air? It's strange how much our energy depends on what we eat. But what's even stranger is how many people assume steady energy has to cost a fortune. Today, we're looking at the foods that stay affordable, keep energy levels stable, and don't require anyone to turn grocery shopping into a budgeting nightmare. A lot of people deal with midday crashes, inconsistent focus, and the feeling of being tired even after sleeping well. And while there are dozens of complicated explanations, one of the simplest factors is the food we choose. The interesting part is this: staying energized consistently doesn't come from expensive supplements or trendy superfoods. It often comes from basic, accessible items that quietly do the job. Understanding those options can make everyday productivity feel more predictable and way less stressful. Before we dive in, if you want to support the channel, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more financial content. It actually helps a lot. Alright, let's get into it. The power of slow-burn carbs. When people talk about energy, they often imagine caffeine or sugary snacks. What's interesting is that the real foundation of steady energy usually comes from foods that digest slowly. These are sometimes called complex carbs, but really they're just foods that release energy over time instead of all at once. Take oats, for example. They're inexpensive almost everywhere, and they're known for absorbing liquid and expanding, which means even a small amount becomes filling. People often point out how they don't spike your blood sugar the way a pastry or sweetened cereal might. The fiber content tends to act like a buffer, giving your body a stable release of energy. Whole grain pasta is another one. It costs barely more than regular pasta, and sometimes the same, depending on the store. The grain structure takes longer for the body to break down, which is why a plate of it doesn't usually leave someone crashing an hour later. It's interesting to consider how often meals that feel comforting and simple are also the ones that sustain energy the best. Beans and lentils belong in this category too. They're extremely cost-effective, especially dried versions. Once cooked, they provide a balance of carbs, fiber, and protein. One thing people often mention is how they keep you full for long stretches without feeling heavy. That makes meals more predictable, which matters for anyone trying to stay focused through long days. Potatoes, especially sweet potatoes, also give a slow and steady burn. Sweet potatoes in particular contain fiber and natural sugars that digest gradually. Regular potatoes, although simpler, still provide long-lasting energy when prepared in ways that preserve nutrients. The interesting pattern here is that steady energy doesn't come from cutting out carbs. It comes from choosing carbs that don't disappear instantly. And the most affordable grocery staples often fall into that category naturally. Proteins that don't drain your wallet. Protein often gets marketed like it's something exclusive. Something that needs to come from pricey powders or cuts of meat that look intimidating. But in reality, some of the most budget-friendly proteins are also the ones that help keep energy stable throughout the day. Eggs are one of the most reliable examples. They're inexpensive, versatile, and contain a full profile of amino acids. People often mention how having a little protein in a meal slows digestion and stabilizes energy, which is exactly what eggs tend to do. Canned tuna or canned chicken is surprisingly cost-effective compared to fresh meat. It stores well, it's easy to portion, and the protein density is high. For people trying to keep their meals predictable without adding cooking time, it's an option that often gets overlooked. Lentils and beans deserve another mention here. Not only are they slow-burn carbs, they're also proteins. That combination is rare and extremely helpful for energy. Plus, they tend to cost only a few cents per serving when bought dried. Greek yogurt is another interesting one. It's high in protein and usually more affordable than other dairy-based snacks. Because of the mix of protein and natural sugars, it leads to a steadier release of energy compared to something like a candy bar or a muffin. Peanut butter or other nut butters also make the list. A little goes a long way, and the combination of fats and protein helps keep energy even. People often point out how it pairs well with fruits, oats, or whole grain bread, which turns simple foods into satisfying meals. When it comes to energy, protein works like an anchor. It keeps meals from feeling like they've vanished too fast. And the best part is that the most effective sources don't require anyone to buy premium options. Healthy fats that stabilize energy. Fats are often misunderstood. Some people think fat equals sluggishness, But healthy fats actually help sustain energy because they digest slowly and help regulate hunger. Olive oil is one of the most useful examples. A small drizzle goes a long way, and it adds calories in a smooth, steady way without spiking blood sugar. Since olive oil can stretch across dozens of meals, its cost per serving ends up surprisingly low. Avocados aren't always cheap depending on the region, but when they are affordable, they're a powerful source of steady energy. Their mix of fiber and healthy fats slows digestion and helps people feel satisfied longer. Seeds like sunflower seeds or pumpkin seeds tend to be far cheaper than nuts, but still offer similar benefits. They're full of healthy fats, minerals, and protein. A handful added to a snack or meal makes energy release more gradual. Canned sardines are one of those foods that shock people with how inexpensive they are compared to the nutrition they offer. They contain healthy fats and protein, so they support long, steady energy in a way few other foods can match at that price. Even simple foods like budget-friendly cheese stick snacks or small amounts of full-fat yogurt can help maintain steady energy through their fat content. The interesting part is that fat doesn't give energy quickly, it gives it predictably. And that's what keeps people from crashing. Fruits and vegetables that do more than people expect. Fruits and vegetables aren't usually associated with steady energy, but many of them play a bigger role than most people realize. They provide vitamins that help convert food into energy, and many contain fiber that slows digestion. Bananas are one of the easiest examples. They're cheap, widely available, and filled with potassium. The natural sugars they contain are paired with enough fiber to prevent a big spike and crash. Apples are similar. They're very affordable and contain soluble fiber, which is one of the best fibers for balancing blood sugar. People often say apples make a great midday snack because they lift you gently instead of jolting you. Carrots, especially when bought in large bags, are incredibly inexpensive. They have a satisfying crunch, contain fiber, and take a while to digest. That slow digestion translates to gradual energy release. Spinach and kale come into play because of their iron content. Iron is essential for transporting oxygen in the blood, which directly affects how energized people feel. Many low-energy symptoms can trace back to low iron intake. Frozen vegetables of almost any kind belong in this section too. They're usually cheaper than fresh, they don't spoil quickly, and they maintain their nutrients. Adding them to meals boosts fiber and vitamins without boosting the price. What's fascinating is how fruits and vegetables often enhance energy, not by providing it themselves, but by helping the body use other foods more efficiently. And most of the highest impact options happen to be the most affordable. Snacks that avoid the crash. Snacking is one of the easiest ways to accidentally sabotage energy levels. Quick snacks often come with quick crashes, but affordable snacks that digest slowly create the opposite effect. Popcorn, plain or lightly seasoned, is a very underrated slow-burn snack. It's whole grain, high in volume, and low in cost. Because of the fiber content, it tends to keep energy stable longer than chips or candy. Trail mix can be affordable when made at home with simple ingredients like peanuts, sunflower seeds, and raisins. It creates a balance of carbs, fats, and protein. That balance is what prevents the crash most people associate with sugary snacks. Whole grain crackers paired with a small amount of cheese or peanut butter create a snack that's both inexpensive and steadying. Each part plays a role. The fat slows digestion, the carbs provide energy, and the protein supports balance. Fruit paired with protein works surprisingly well. Apples with peanut butter, bananas with yogurt, or berries with cottage cheese create low-cost combinations that digest slowly. Even something as simple as leftovers from earlier meals makes a strong snack option. Eating a small portion of a balanced meal often stabilizes energy far better than reaching for something processed. The goal for snacks is the same as meals. Avoid foods that give a sharp spike in energy. Affordable foods often win here because they tend to be simple, whole, and slow digesting by nature. How to combine foods for all-day energy. Individual foods help, but pairing them strategically gives even better results. This doesn't have to be complicated. In fact, some of the most effective combinations are extremely basic. A slow-burn carb plus a protein plus a healthy fat usually creates the most stable energy. Examples include oats with a spoon of peanut butter, whole grain toast with eggs, lentils cooked with olive oil, or pasta with canned tuna. Another helpful idea people talk about is balancing meals across the day instead of relying on a single oversized meal. Smaller, balanced meals tend to keep energy more consistent. Meal prepping with affordable foods also helps. When meals are planned ahead, it's easier to avoid quick fixes that cause crashes. Portions matter too. Eating until stuffed can slow you down, while eating too little can lead to a crash. But affordable foods often make portion control easier because they're filling without needing large amounts. By thinking about combinations instead of single ingredients, it becomes easier to build days that feel predictable and energized without spending a lot. So the big takeaway here is pretty simple. Steady energy doesn't come from anything fancy. Affordable slow-burn carbs like oats or potatoes, balanced proteins like eggs or beans, healthy fats like olive oil or seeds, and supportive fruits and vegetables create a foundation that keeps energy levels smooth throughout the day. Most of these foods don't just cost less. They actually work better for stable focus than many expensive alternatives. If you enjoyed this breakdown, tell us in the comments. Which affordable energy-boosting food do you think more people should know about? And if you got value from this video, don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. See you on the next one.